Our next speaker is Roman Makukhin. He is an organic farmer since 2008 on a large scale property of 50,000 hectares in the south of Kherson oblast, and he is also a practitioner of biodynamic regenerative farming since 2011. And the topic which Roman will present is regenerative agriculture for Ukraine, post-war recovery, European Green Deal, and sustainable development goals. So please, Roman, go ahead. I think that we are ready to start your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. And добрый день всем. Good afternoon, everybody. Slava Ukraini. Regenerative agriculture for Ukraine, post-war recovery, the European Green Deal, and this sustainable development goals by the United Nations, the SDGs. How all these terms come together in the concept of the regenerative agriculture. A couple of words about myself. I never thought before 2008 that I would be involved in the agricultural production. Next slide, please. In 2008, I came to the south of Kherson region to help, originally with just IT matters. My background is IT. I did my MBA in Belgium. I worked there for 5 years. And my first immediate experience with this large-scale organic farming in a very problematic climatic zone of the south of Kherson region and the north of Crimea. And many people until today tell me that organic on large scale is not possible. Well, we actually did it. So I can say for a fact that not only it is possible, it is working much better in the problematic zones with very low rainfall as the south of Kherson region. Later on, I worked in various organic production projects, and in 2011 I was introduced and started practicing biodynamic technologies, and until November last year I was living basically on a farm in the north of Ukraine, Chernihiv region, with 4 hectares of biodynamic blueberries, and because of the war that had to be stopped. I had also 450 sheep still back then, well before the war started, and that had to move. Basically, the farm is now on hold. Biodynamic production is still there, but there was a very limited access to the site. So I know both how it's to be in under occupation and how to be farming in the hard times of the war still ongoing. If we can continue further. Well, the human and earth microbiome projects that I'm advocating, basically for me, they were the first scientific backgrounds that supported the idea of organic and biodynamic farming, and a couple of words about those 2 projects later on. The post-war challenges that we are all facing, already today we can say that 30% of our territories under occupation, or well, basically to be liberated, and those already liberated have been affected by this war, either with mining or contamination, but one way or another, it's heavily degraded soils. Water contamination is a big challenge as a result. The displacement of the population from the rural territories and from the towns that have been occupied plays a significant social challenge as well. we're already facing now, but we will face the challenge of the rehabilitation of our veterans. And probably many of you already heard about one of the most effective ways to rehabilitate through garden therapy. And that's one of the things that, the regenerative agriculture offers. Balanced decentralization or gaining or regaining the authority back by Hromadas will be another challenge, because again, because due to the war, we have a new centralization of the powers, and Hromadas lose more and more control over the possibilities and budgets. But they are the central point of anything if we talk about in the context of land and water management and agricultural production. They are the key stakeholders in this process. The European Union integration, is the challenge that we are facing in a way because of the war, but also hoping that this integration will help us not only to come out stronger, but actually become a member with much more opportunities, but many more infrastructural developments and agricultural market access possibilities. Never mind what you hear now about the Polish farmers protesting about Ukrainian products. That's a lot of politics, and we won't stop on that matter today. And climate change, of course, is our common global challenge that we are facing. So we can continue. So in the context of these bigger challenges, the last two that we just discussed, the European goals of the European Union are, in the context of regenerative agriculture, of course, are focusing on the European Green Deal. Європейська зелена угода або європейський зелений курс. The European Green Deal basically stipulates that 25% of all agricultural production in the European Union by the year 2030 has to be organic. And 30% of all the land and all the sea in the European Union by the same year should be protected by the European Union, by individual countries of the European Union. What that means practically to us, just well, coming backward a little bit, about our 30% of the land that has been actually contaminated, has been affected due to the war. If we look at this 30% of the requirements of protected territories, imagine that all that land that has been affected because of the war can be brought back to natural rewilding. In that case, Ukraine can meet the European Green Deal requirements, not only, but also benefit from the decarbonization and in a long term re-establish its position as an agricultural producer, but later on in the new environment, in the new global conditions. But for now, just imagine that those territories can be naturally and very sustainably, I would not say recultivated, but revitaliated, brought back. They can be brought back to life. Either it takes 30 years or 50 or 100 years, but nothing else but the nature can do the best in revitalization of those territories. And 25% of organic agriculture is, of course, a very high ambition. Today in Ukraine, we have 1% of organic agriculture. Further on, the climate action the reduction of the carbon dioxide and other gases that contribute to global warming. Much of it comes from intensive agricultural production, so very closely linked to how we farm and how we use chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides that contribute even more next to plowing the land, next to growing unsustainably just one monoculture on the field that's been, even today, yeah, you can see many fields have been put back on what we call chorny par, yeah, on not on the grass, not on their cover crops, but actually staying fallow, completely black and fallow, vaporizing and reducing the microbiological activity in those lands. Farm to fork concept is basically local healthy food production for your neighbors, yeah, and decreasing the length of distribution of the food. Preserving biodiversity, green energy and green mobility, ecological transportation, and new alternative means of energy production. Sustainable industry or industrial production, and the concept of circular economy there plays the biggest role. We'll talk a bit about that today as well. And research and development, and that's where the great community that I have been honored to listen to starting this morning already. I am delighted that we have such a fundamental basis for further development in the regenerative agriculture, yeah, and you have already described so many concepts that play the critical fundamental role for regenerative agriculture to actually be accepted and become a unique solution for the Ukrainian revitalization, yeah, and reconstruction in a much better, in a greener and more ecological way. So further on, let's continue, please. Yeah, and very quickly, yeah, you can review all the concepts of the European Green Deal further on. It's just for reference, and we can go on. Yeah, let's move on. The global goals for Ukraine, basically they come down to the sustainable development goals by the United Nations. They were set back in 2015, and we are still in only 15% of the results as the United Nations Assembly just declared. So the progress on those goals globally is not as fast and as resultful as has been expected. Ukraine, however, because of lower industrial production and even more destruction caused by the war, is now less of a contributor of the climate pollution, yeah, and the CO2 contribution. Yet the high level of intensive agricultural production adds to the negative side of our negative global track of the sustainable development goals. Further on. And I mentioned already about the circular economy. That's the concept not only for the industrial production, for the industrial development. It's a general concept for the world economy to develop, and it all starts with smart design of the systems of products, the concept of shared economy, where we are not buying something just to use once, and it might just stay there on the shelf for the rest of its life. But we put anything that is useful into use Yeah, that's an important concept of the circular economy. Then reusing, basically, if a product or service can be used for a different purpose, for example, yeah, repairing, of course, that's something that we are good at. We repair things very often, not to throw them away. Refurbishing, yeah, so redesigning things, like again, for a different purpose, for yeah, maybe for somebody else as well, yeah, for some other user. And only in the least case and in the worst scenario, we use the recycling as a tool, as a concept of yeah, less sustainable use of resources and less sustainable practice. Further on, please. Yeah, that's again just for reference, a general picture of the previous site, just for the visualization of it. And the agricultural economics. I did my MBA and not in agricultural economics, and it was just general European business studies in a business school in Belgium. And in my concept, there was never agricultural production as part of economics or global economy. Yeah, normally you just go to a food store, to a supermarket, you buy anything. You don't really think that much how that food is produced. So when I touched on the production side, and I had my first agricultural academy right in the fields of Kherson region, there, for me, the new discoveries came that actually, where the realization that the only source of our food is the sun and the water and the healthy soil. So in many years of hands-on agricultural production experience, I came to a realization that agriculture is basically an art of solar and water management for life endurance. And if we talk about solar, it's the energy that is transformed due to the photosynthesis, and the human labor can only add to that larger solar energy source. Life cycles are important to understand that on the land, in water, and on the level of microorganisms, we have life cycles that differ a lot in time. And microbacterial life is fastest to adapt, because every 20 minutes in average, our microbiology, either it's human gut microbiology or soil microbiology, it goes into a new cycle. Yeah, so generation after generation, microorganisms are able to adapt and help humanity until now to survive, even though we have created so many pesticides and now toxins, and without microorganisms would not be probably able to survive anymore. So that's important also to realize. And circulation of water and basic elements due to the water circulation, again, is enabling life on this planet for many millions and millions and even billions of years. So the agriculture is, once again, the art of managing solar energy and water to sustain life. Yeah, we can continue. Well, I was introduced to organic production in 2008, and my belief was that it is a perfect system of sustainable food production. However, again, years passed, and we have to recognize now that transparency and traceability, that is the symbol of organic production, they are often very formal. They just remain as a formality. And the declarative principles, where a farmer fills out the form in organic production inspection, And not necessarily he or she can be completely true about the actual facts of production. So very often the declarative principles get abused. And my biggest discouragement came with the fact that the great organic principles that can be found on the IFOAM, on this biggest international organization for organic agriculture, the health, the ecology, the fairness, and care, the super principles of organic agricultural production, they're very often not followed. So they are not the basis for organic certification, and they could be much more practically assigned if they were part of the certification process. And there comes another solution, further on. If we can continue with the slide, please. There comes another solution that until today is not a matter of certification, because whereas organic certified procedure, and by the way, imagine that 200 years ago, 100% of all the agricultural production was organic and nobody had to certify. Then the chemical production came with the use of pesticides and chemical fertilizers. And those farmers had no need to get certified. Whereas organic producers today need to prove their organic status. That's a little bit of misconcept. It's you grow organic food for centuries and centuries, and then bam, at some point you are being asked to get certified for it. Well, the regenerative agriculture is not a subject of certification as of today. It's a concept. It's a model of sustainable agricultural production based on first analysis and planning, because every field is different, every country is different, of course. Every continent is different. Climates differ, weather conditions, hills, valleys. It's all very customizable. Then through growing, you are able to benefit from these systems if you have plants well enough, and eventually thrive together with the natural environment, with your nature around. If we can continue further. You can watch, I very much advise to watch a very quick video on what regenerative agriculture is about. It's available in English and in Ukrainian. I think the Ukrainian translation there is just beautiful. It's not a literal translation of the English version. It's been adapted. And it's just a wonderful short video that can explain very much the basics of regenerative agriculture, so that we do not have to stop and give this very quick picture. It's visualized, well written. Please do watch it. Further on. And here comes the big scientific background. For many times that I have spoken about organic and especially biodynamic agriculture and farming, many people would doubt how that would not be the old, grandpa methods where you had to work on the soil with your horse and do some tricky things. Well, actually, to me, from the start, it was intuitively pretty clear that organic and especially biodynamic production is very much scientific. And the thing that is, biodynamic was first pronounced in 1924. It's about the same time when Volodymyr Ivanovich Vernadsky produced his biosphere material that was published in 1926, first time, I think, the first edition. So if you put the teachings of the Rudolf Steiner on biodynamics and biosphere and the living matter, Żywa rечовина, by Volodymyr Vernadsky. If you put the two works together and you study them parallel, then the whole concept of biodynamic production becomes absolutely clear and scientifically grounded. And later on in 2013, 12, 13, I learned about the two incredible projects. I think they are the biggest projects for humanity of this century: Human Microbiome Project and Earth Microbiome Project. Together they conduct basically, well, the study of entire genome of all the life, microbiological life that is inside of us, on us, in the soil, and all around. The balance of microbiology basically keeps the soil life in balance, the human life in balance. And one interesting fact is that the human, healthy human and healthy soil, they share 50% of microbiology in genome. Yeah, so it's the same genetics. And actually, I studied in the International Christian University, and Bible was one of our courses. And if you read the Bible, you have one interesting verse that makes sense and a good relation to these two scientific projects. That from the earth we all came, and to the earth we will return. And it makes such a beautiful sense when you study the human and earth microbiome projects with the idea that it has been written a while ago, and the concept was there and has been around, and now only you have all the scientific tools to touch on it, to actually be able to handle and to put it into practice. So in my everyday farming work, I remember that the biosphere by Volodymyr Vernadsky, the Human Microbiome Project, and the Earth Microbiome Project are the basis, the scientific basis, you know, these three pillars of the sustainable, regenerative, smart production of safe food that saves the planet, that nurture, can feed all the population on this planet. Yeah, either it's certified organic or not, that's another issue. Yeah, and we can have a debate on that. But I am a not only a believer, but I'm a practitioner of sustainable food production with biodynamic techniques, with organic concepts, and regenerative philosophy behind this food production. And I totally can see how this model of food production can feed the global population. And we don't need to talk about the ecocide of the pesticides, of chemical fertilizers, of genetic modification, and the way it reduces the biodiversity. Not that genetic engineering is wrong or bad practice, not at all. It's a beautiful science. But the way genetic modification is currently used in agricultural production is not ecological and not sustainable. So it's not about food. It's about agricultural business. Yeah, and then we can talk a bit about that as well. If food should be business, if water should be business, if solar should be business, but in terms of our access, daily access to it. But in the same way, yeah, we can say why air is not business. You know? Probably in some areas it should become, like, you know, people in Shanghai probably would love to buy some extra clean air. Okay, but then again, that's a philosophy of production and consumption. And if we can continue, please. So the regenerative agriculture. In the video, you can see a beautiful visualization of how it all works, but very quickly, it's all about biodiversity. Yeah, local native heirloom seeds with organic no-till, using cover crops and mulching, yeah, to preserve the microbiology of the soils. It's mixed cropping, it's crop rotations, if we talk about larger scale production in the regenerative agriculture format. But even more, it is about permacultural design and biodynamic practices of the use of microbiological preparations as activators of microbiology in the soil. It's the concept of food forest. Food forest, again, is the future of food production, in my humble opinion, because it is the concept of producing maximum nutrition per hectare. Not the maximum gross yield of whatever commodity crop of corn, maize, or soya or wheat. Food forest is about the natural way of producing food and living in complete harmony with nature. Okay, the beneficial insects and birds, they are the essence of any organic or biodynamic production, because if you have to grow something without the new pesticides, then that is your first choice remedy, yeah, from pests. Soil health and water management, two critical issues that come together. You cannot have clean water in any source, yeah, in lake or river, if the soils are being not healthy, if they are basically destroyed with chemical fertilizers and pesticides. And beneficial livestock integration practically means that a cow that some people think produce methane and should be eliminated from the surface of Earth is actually why we still have the soil, or why we originally have the soils. Because cow stomach is the best microbiological laboratory that is producing the essence of the soil health. And then again, please watch the video. You'll have a better idea of how it works. Further on. So the holistic regeneration, yeah, again, the regenerative agriculture to me is about holistic approach, where you can analyze, plan, and grow, realizing all the elements of your natural conditions. Yeah, so you include your environment into your planning. Local customization, yeah, so you realize that every field is different, and natural conditions in each field, they're also different. Yeah, different tree hedge, different history of that field and that environment, and of course, different access to water resources. Integrated land and water management is critically important. Yeah, so the proper use of water resources is vital in regenerative agriculture, but in any agricultural production, actually. And biodiversity, I think, is the basis of thriving. And that basically means that ecology contributes to economy, or ecology, well, our taking care of the environment can make us thrive in a new economic reality. All right, further on, please. So this is just a quick visualization, you know, diversity of crops and crop rotations, and it's not exactly, that concept of food forests, yeah. But if we're talking about changing the food systems already today, that's something that can be done immediately. This does not require long-term planning or long-term implementation. A model like this is vital for soil, for the start of the soil better use. Same in the model where people cannot probably get rid of the concept, well, we need more corn and we need more wheat. All right, you need more wheat, change the system into a better crop rotation and continue to produce. But of course, long term, we should realize this is not the way. Further on. So the essence of soil and the valuation of soil or valuation of land should begin with the health of soil. I believe that in the nearest future, we will come to a new system of land valuation or agricultural land valuation based on soil health, based on the microbiology of the soil. So the more microbiology you have, healthy microbiology you have in soil, the more valuable your land is. All right, because the resilience of the food system is based on the soil health. In the very simple terms, yeah, and very simple models. And yeah, technology, of course, is very helpful if we can continue. But technology is helpful when we do our innovations with nature in mind. Pasture-based is possible for any type of production of chicken, for eggs, or poultry, for those who still prefer to eat meat, or dairy or beef production. Yeah, anything on this planet can feed on pasture. Anything. And even more, you can add forestry into agricultural production, and many people do it already. Agroforestry is becoming more and more popular. So any solution in agriculture today should become a nature-based solution, yeah, a nature-based system. And further on, very quickly, because we have to end. And there are beautiful mobile production systems, and this is just one of the examples. If you go to Lithuania, more than 2,000 of such systems go through the fields there, basically chasing the cows, so following the cows that produce milk. And for that reason, they have the lowest cost of production of milk, because the farmer follows his cows, not makes them come back to the barn for milking, but he follows the cows into the field and milks them in the field in the best natural condition. All right, so mobile systems work, and this is just one of the examples of how they make life of a farmer easy in a natural way. Further on. One important thing is integrating with the urban population, yeah, and large-scale city production of consumption of a lot of food and food-related materials. Yeah, well, they produce a lot of organic residues, and those residues are best for composting. So we need, again, yeah, to look into the regenerative agriculture, also from the concept of bringing the urban population closer to food production through at least one simple practice of composting. And that can be done just outside somewhere or in some bigger park with some smaller composting practices. But this is a beautiful way to integrate city and rural areas. Further on. In some areas, it might be not possible to grow food in open environment. That is, well, that can be cases, yeah, well, we might have those cases in Ukraine. And in such instances, this innovative methods of integrating fish production, basically, as you can see here, it's basins with fish and growing green leaves is a perfect combination. Yeah, it's aquaculture that has been practiced as well. It's not exactly about regenerative agriculture, yeah, but if we talk about some solutions that can immediately solve the problem in the places where food cannot be grown on soil because of contamination, for example, this system of production can be used in a smart and proper way. So I'm not only talking about regenerative, but regeneration should be for a purpose of sustaining life. And this is just one of the ways of sustaining life. And simple complexity, yeah, begins where you don't need to make any foundation to build big buildings to keep your cows or sheep or anybody else, or to store anything when you are in the rural area and you're producing as a farmer. Mobile sheds and mobile seasonal storage like this, yeah, where you have a tent, basically, that can be easily assembled, disassembled, covered, and placed anywhere on your site, on your location, on your farm. You don't need any big groundwork. Yeah, it's the easiest and the most natural way to store, to keep your cows, for example, yeah, for winter period. In details, it can be more addressed. Yeah, if anybody has more questions, the last page would be, the last slide would be with the contact details. And please, if you have any questions of how regenerative agriculture can meet the needs of the Ukrainian food resilience, yeah, and rehabilitation of veterans, or our challenges of European integration and the global challenge of the climate change, please.
Thank you very much, Roman, for your wonderful presentation. Meanwhile, I will remind the participants that you are advised to ask question in a spreadsheet, which we shared multiple times in the chat with you. So far, I see no question in a spreadsheet, but you can always unmute your microphone and just ask your question with your voice, should you like it. So while you are preparing your questions, I would like to admire first thing that we are gradually moving to this research and practice conferences where we integrate farmers with researchers, and I think that it's a future of sustainable development in Ukraine and globally, when we will have more researchers who are also farmers and more farmers who are also researchers. I observed it very frequently in the USA, and I hope that it's coming also to Ukraine. Then I also particularly like that despite that our agenda is rehabilitation of military affected landscapes, we still keep to the global agenda because of sustainable development goal and reducing carbon emission and carbon sequestration, because everything is connected, and as much as we can integrate this together, I think that more success we will have. And also I particularly like your way of thinking or presenting things, that you are capable to see the whole picture, the overall picture, which is very important for farmers as well as for researchers, but also you are capable to distinguish between particular modules. And then if you have this view, you can also develop like tailored or targeted scenarios for different farmers and in particular for transition. So maybe while I'm not seeing any questions, my first question would be, what would be like one or three practices from organic farming or from regenerative farming that you would propose to traditional conventional farmers in particular in Kherson region, where the irrigation system was destroyed and they need to adapt to ongoing conditions?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for your comments. Well, first, because I worked in the south of Kherson region, and I could see now again, we had several trips with the European parliamentarians to the south of Ukraine, and we could witness that a lot of tree hedges have been basically burned out. Well, they have destroyed the old Takuchayev program of tree hedges in South Ukraine. It's gone. Yeah, you can have thousands of hectares of a field without a single tree, and that's the first. That's the initial thing to do for bringing back, yeah, the organic regenerative practice into those territories of Kherson region in particular, but anywhere else in Ukraine. Our fields have to become smaller, and that has to be a national program. And that has to be a requirement to plant tree hedges for every farmer. Yeah. So basically, you have to establish a percentage ratio. In Switzerland, for example, you cannot be certified organic with BioSwiss if you don't have 7% at least dedicated to wild nature. In our case, it should be probably even more, given that we still have today the cheapest agricultural land in Europe. So if there would be a national program that would impose 10% requirement of wildlife on a farm, that would be ideal, that would be perfect, and we would start with the tree hedges. Second thing, in South Ukraine, I would recommend everybody to always keep soil covered with cover crops, and that could be white clover, that can be other crops that depends on the soil's condition, the soil structure, and the type of soil, and also the water availability. But mulching would be a super first step before even the cover crops. And mulching has been practiced in organic no-till, and there are many examples to be seen on the website of Rodale Institute, the American Rodale Institute. Wonderful practices of different active mulching with winter rye, with other crops that can be used already today in the conditions of Kherson region in particular. And something else, the third point is, of course, integrating animals. Animals are the most beautiful helpers of any farmer. Cows, especially in South Ukraine, there are breeds that have been bred for exactly that region. They are this red breed of South Ukrainian steppe cow. They are not as demanding for in terms of feed quality. Yeah, they can survive for long hours without water, and they can still produce good quality milk, for cheese production, for dairy products, and they, even more importantly, they produce manure. Yeah, the most natural, most organic, beneficial source of nutrients for healthy soil. So that would be it.
Thank you, Roman.